Tonight on Stinchfield, Team Biden's blatant war, crushing America's middle class with inflation and skyrocketing gas prices.
We're in a situation where there's a lot of anxiety.
They don't care if you suffer because their quest is to break you, then bribe you. Plus Rittenhouse trial fireworks. The judge rips the prosecution over and over again today.
Astonished when you began your examination by commenting on the defendant's post-arrest silence.
The weaker the case becomes, the slimier the prosecution gets. And Columbia University madness. Students warned if they intentionally misgender someone, they could face expulsion.
A violation of the Columbia University non-discrimination policy.
Are there any universities left free from this social justice woke nonsense? Stinchfield starts right now. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Stinchfield. So there is a war going on, and it is being waged against the middle class. We call it Bidenflation, the cost of goods that are skyrocketing. Gas is pushing $4 and even $5 a gallon in some parts of the country. And now, the backbone of America, the working class family, is really suffering. This inflation crisis amounts to an oppressive tax on them. And the sad reality is, it's been artificially created. Every policy decision Team Biden makes leads directly to higher costs of everything, and yet Joe Biden pretends it's all out of his control.
We're in a situation where there's a lot of anxiety. Gas prices are up exceedingly high.
I know the cost of gas, groceries, and rent seems to be harder and harder to handle.
Do you ever think you've been paying this much for a gallon of gas? In some parts of California, they're paying $4.50 a gallon.
See, Joe Biden appears to be clueless that he created this mess. Now, he may be clueless about it, but Team Biden isn't. See, what they are doing is by design. The puppet masters are working to create a system modeled by the leftist World Economic Forum, where every company is given a social credit score, just like China, based off of requirements that companies adopt environmental, social, and governmental standards. ESG is the initials. The goal is to coerce companies to go woke. And the more woke your company is, the more hip to this falsely perceived ills of society, the more rewards your company will receive in the form of government cash and tax breaks. But in order to get there, to coerce these companies into social justice compliance, Team Biden must break them first, then bribe them with that government cash. It's why Team Biden, from day one, put its sights on fossil fuels, killing the Keystone Pipeline, slowing down drilling permits, dispatching OSHA investigators to drilling sites in devious attempts to shut drilling operations down there as well. With success on all fronts, the price of oil now soars. The cost of goods and services goes skyrocketing with it. And when the media catches on, it has to be that bad.
This inflation is a lot worse than people think. It is not transitory.
We knew that this inflation report would be brutal, but this was much worse than expected. And as you mentioned, it's landing right before the holidays.
Americans are likely to see much higher heating bills this winter.
If beef is what's for dinner for your family, get ready for some Fred Flintstone-sized sticker shock. The wholesale price of high-quality beef is up 34% since last year.
Inflation is a regressive tax. It hits the poor people hardest of all.
Dig deep. We are just about a nickel away from the all-time average high price for gasoline here.
Grocery stores are already struggling to fill empty shelves, and people can expect to pay record high prices for their holiday food.
All of that, you can blame Joe Biden. Because instead of unleashing our energy resources like President Trump did, which Team Biden could do, by the way, with a simple stroke of the pen, they feign concern instead, and they offer up phony solutions when in the end, what they want is for all of you, all of us, to suffer.
I can just tell you what we've been doing here, which is calling on OPEC to increase their supply.
That's absolutely baloney. We know it's baloney. Yes, the Biden administration asked for OPEC, for more supply. And you know what OPEC said? Hey, Biden, you want more gas? Pump it yourself.
What is the Granholm plan to increase oil production in America?
Oh my God, that is hilarious. Would that I had the magic wand on this. As you know, of course, oil is a global market. It is controlled by a cartel. That cartel is called OPEC, and they made a decision yesterday that they were not going to increase beyond what they were already planning.
That's one of Joe Biden's cabinet members laughing about that. You see, OPEC is not the answer. Why would we want to rely on foreign nations, many of which look at us as evil adversaries? Surely, Team Biden can't be so dumb. They aren't. They will falsely argue this energy crisis, supply chain crisis, is just proof government needs to invest more in green energy. See, that's the play here. They want wind and solar projects there, electric cars. The massive reconciliation spending bill sets aside $500 billion for just that. But it's not about the environment. It's about lining the pockets of the leftist billionaire campaign donors, most of whom have massive investments in green energy. That's why they won't take responsibility for this problem. And instead, Biden is banking on company executives to fix it for him.
I spoke with the CEOs, personally spoke with the CEOs of the major retailers, Walmart, Target, and the leading freight movers, FedEx and UPS. They assured me that the shelves will be stocked in stores this holiday. They're getting more of their containers off the ports quicker.
I don't believe a word the man says. The supply chain crisis caused by Democrat-inspired lockdowns has used car prices now up 26%. Now, not only can you not afford gas for your car, but you can't afford the car either. And because car parts are hard to come by, the cost of repairs is going up too. And since it costs more to fix a car, guess what? Car insurance companies have raised rates nearly 6% as well. This barrage of price increases is hard to absorb for anyone. But the wealthy, though, they can do it. You know why? Because they buy or lease new cars, all under warranty. Again, it gets back to the middle class that this hurts. I'm sure you have seen firsthand that food prices are now up more than 10%, which doesn't just hurt the middle class, but the poor really hard. Food banks, too. They have problems now keeping food in stock to feed the hungry.
Our challenge is that it's costing us more money than we imagined and more money than we've ever spent on food before.
They are getting less food, substantially less food currently.
We had none of these problems under President Trump. None. Because he let free markets work and he kept government out of the way. But this is what Team Biden does. They don't care that Americans suffer in their quest to radically change America. See, we the people are simply their collateral damage. Well, Joe Biden's only plan to fix these problems is to ram through this reconciliation bill, which we know would make it even worse. That's why it is do or die to block this legislation. Republican Congressman from Georgia, Barry Loudermilk, joins me now. Congressman, welcome back to the program.
Grant, it's always good to be with you.
Well, it's great having you on. How hard are your constituents getting hit in Georgia? And what are your plans for this reconciliation bill?
Well, fortunately here in Georgia, we are seeing some shortages. You're definitely seeing the inflation. And make no mistake, inflation is taxation. It's taxation on the working class. But because of our Governor Kemp, reopening our economy back in May of 2020, we have the lowest unemployment rate in the history of Georgia right now. But because of our national economy, we are feeling the pinch of it. And make no mistake, the Democrats are okay with this. This is part of their plan because, look, if reconciliation goes through, as you just said, this is going to get worse. But if they get the socialist society going that they so want, this will be the norm. And I wouldn't put it past them that all of this is part of getting America used to paying for more, waiting longer, and getting less, because this Green New Deal will cause everything to be more expensive. And if we go to green energy, it's going to cost more, not only at the fuel pump, it's going to cost more for everything that we do, because green energy is much more expensive than fossil fuels.
All right, you talk about the labor shortage around the country. Georgia doing great, that's good news. But around the country, the labor shortage. I owned a trucking company, and it was very hard to find truck drivers. Mika Brzezinski talked to the labor secretary about this labor shortage. I want you to listen to what this exchange did. Transportation secretary, excuse me. Listen to this exchange.
Is the explanation for the labor shortage? Why are people not going back to work?
Now, there are a lot of things contributing to this. One of them is childcare, of course, which is why the president's Build Back Better vision is going to be good for the labor market.
Before COVID, before Biden, there was a problem with childcare, and people still went to work.
Yes, the childcare issue is not new, but it is a greater crunch than ever.
All right, I'm shocked that Mika Brzezinski pushed back at him, but this is their answer: childcare. We're going to get you free childcare, and everything's going to be fine.
Look, childcare may be one of the issues, but it is so far down the list, no one is considering that. Look, for months, the Democrats proposed paying people to stay at home and not go to work. That's what created this crisis. And now with the Build Back Better plan, they're even promising more and more government handouts, which is causing people to slowly return to the workforce. The Treasury Department just came out and said that these vaccine mandates are a contributing factor to our employment crisis. This is the Build Back Better plan that is causing all of these problems. It isn't child care. It's paying people to stay at home and not go to work, promising people that they'll get more stimulus from the government. They can live off the government. And by the way, if you don't do exactly as the government tells you to do, then we're going to force your employer to fire you, or you're going to have to leave your job. This is what's causing the problem, the Build Back Better plan.
It's amazing. We've reached a point in our society where this is the choices people have to make. Just for fun, I'm going to give you one more. This is Gina Raimondo, the Commerce Secretary. She has some advice for Joe Biden. Listen to this.
If you were still governor of Rhode Island, I understand you're not, would you be hoping or asking for the president to open up the Strategic Petroleum Reserve?
Again, I think it's premature to say. What I would be saying to the president is I would just ask him to keep doing what he's doing.
Congressman, keep doing what he's doing. He's sinking this nation.
Absolutely. And you know who the largest producer of oil in the world is? It's not any OPEC nation. It's the United States of America. 5 years ago, Congress did something that gave America control of worldwide oil prices. We ended the 40-year ban on exporting U.S. oil. Within weeks, we were exporting, and again, we regained our status as the world's largest producer of oil, and the United States of America was now in control of the world oil prices. President Biden gave that away. For 5 years, no one talked about OPEC, and now he's crawling to OPEC when we have the resources. If we could just get the government off the back so we can drill and we can pump and we can get inexpensive gasoline and diesel and fuel to the American people, but he refuses to do it.
It's amazing. He wants to go to OPEC and open up reserves when we had it all pumping right here. Congressman Barry Loudermilk, thank you as always, sir.
Thank you, Grant.
All right, we will talk again soon. You got it. We will talk again soon. I mean, why would he want us reliant on other nations when we were reliant on ourselves? We're putting other nations relying on us. That's a good place to be. Thank you, President Trump. Thank you not so much to Joe Biden.